As we all know, research is a long and iterative process, and there's a lot that can go wrong at any stage. The study design can be flawed, the experiment can be improperly conducted, the results can be inaccurately communicated. When something does go wrong, for whatever reason, it can be disastrous to the reputation of the researcher and the institution involved. There's plenty of evidence of problems that arise from a lack of formal training for researchers. PhD students tend to get their training more or less on the job and may or may not be lucky enough to have good mentors or advisors to formalize this training.
The challenges that get the most attention among our investigators are those that relate to rules, best practices, and requirements for carrying out research with human subjects, with animals, and with things that are considered biohazards. And we rely greatly on mentors to ensure that the research in their labs is carried out by their trainees in a responsible and compliant way, and that they pass on good practices. But again, a lot of it, in the past, a lot of this has been done without a consistent standard approach, and it can create problems, obviously. We all have very large volumes, tomes of policies and procedures, and frankly, they're not read cover to cover by everybody. And so it becomes the responsibility of the institution to provide some resources that break down these voluminous guidelines. When institutions are faced with changes coming from the federal government, such as the Common Rule for using human subjects, they have to go back to the drawing board and determine how they will communicate these changes to their investigators, how they will enforce new rules that are associated with these changes. This requires a lot of resources. An infrastructure which some institutions have in place is critical. Those that don't rely on outside sources, but these outside sources have been inconsistent with respect to how they're provided for educational purposes. They include webinars, they include printed material, and in addition, when an investigator, a faculty member joins an institution, having come from another institution where they were certified to do research, that certification is null and void. They have to do the training and the recertification all over again. The average investigator is trying very, very hard to be a good citizen, but they're also trying very, very hard to do their science and do it well, to be creative, to find solutions to serious problems. As institutions, as administrators of institutions that carry out research, we have to do everything possible to help investigators so that they can concentrate on what they really need to do in terms of their research, while at the same time following all the appropriate guidelines to ensure human subjects are kept safe in studies, animals are treated responsibly, humanely, and that people work in a safe environment. And there's a continuous education process so that people are not guessing about the rules. That's the hallmark of a really good, responsible institution.
We'd like to work together with institutions to help solve this problem. Here at OUP, with Epigene Learning Solutions, we're developing a program called Advanced Research Skills, which is designed to train early and mid-career researchers in the critical components of the research workflow, from design to implementation to analysis to dissemination. Advanced Research Skills is part of a series of programs addressing the research career arc, along with Research as a Transferable Skill, which is aimed at more junior researchers. We'll be developing these programs in partnership with institutions in the US and internationally, so that the finished product reflects the input and expertise of a number of representative stakeholders.